Hi there. Today we are going to discuss about managing communication. So let's have a look at the contents first. So today we are going to cover about communication, basic perception process, communication process, and improve communication. So what is communication? It is a process of transmitting information from one person or place to another. Perception, it is a process by which individuals attempt to organize, interpret, and retain information from their environment. Perception means that different people, though they are being given the similar information, they have the same data, but they perceive differently. They get different meanings of the same information. Different people, they have different meanings. So that is called the perception. Now, then we have the perception filters. These are the personality, psychology, or experience-based differences that influence people to ignore or pay attention to the stimuli. Now, perception filters means that when I say that people have different perceptions, that depends on the people experiences, their maturity level, and their skill. So, based on their differences, their experiences, their maturity, people have different meanings of the similar information. Now, perception problems. So here you can have a look at the simple illustration that there is a glass with some amount of water. Now this individual said that this is almost full, and this another individual says that it is almost empty. Although they have the similar glass with same amount of water, but the individuals they have different perceptions. So that is a perception problem. So what is the perception? It creates communication problems for the organizations because people exposed to the same communication and information can end up with completely different ideas and understanding. So even though if the people they have the same information, they may end up having different meanings. Now, what is selective perception? It is a tendency to notice and accept objects and information consistent with our values, beliefs, and expectations while ignoring or not accepting inconsistent information. Closing, on the other hand, it is a tendency to fill in the gaps of missing information by assuming that what we do not know, what is consistent, and what we already know. Now here, the perception of the others. Now there are two individuals, so there is a digit. You call it a 6 or you call it a 9, but to him he said this is 6, and to this individual he said this is 9, although the digit is only one digit. So here people perceive differently. Now attribution theory is what we have a basic need to understand and explain the causes of other people's behavior. So attribution theory give us that why people behave differently. So we can get the answers by looking into the attribution theory. Now it is based on the two components. One is internal attribution and two is external attribution. So what is internal attribution? It is a behavior that is thought to be voluntary or under the control of the individual. So we can say these behavior, they are under the control of the individuals. Whereas the external attribution, these are the behaviors that are thought to be involuntary and outside the control of the individuals. Or we can say that external attribution, they are usually beyond the control of the individuals. Now, we have a defensive bias, the tendency for which people perceive themselves as personally and situation is similar to someone who is having a difficulty or a trouble. And then we have the fundamental attribution. Now, these are the error, the tendency to ignore the causes of behavior and attributes other people may have. And again, when we discuss about the defensive bias, now, for example, when we are having a flat tire, and if we run over the nail, so we get the flat tire. So we say that is because of the situation. Now, self-perception. Now there's a person sitting on the sofa, and he is holding a mirror, and he looks to his face. What about the people that are outside the window? This person totally looks to himself while ignoring the people that surround him. So that is the self-serving. So self-serving is a bias, the tendency to overestimate our values by attributing the successes to ourselves. These are the internal causes, and attributing failures to others, to the environments, and these are the external causes. Now, the simple example, students, when they appear in the examination, if they get good grades, say A grades, so they try to get all the credits that I have secured the A grades. But somehow, if they have bad grades, for example, D grades, or if they fail in their subjects, so they try to put a blame on the situation. Sometimes they put a blame on the teacher, the professor, that he have designed a very difficult paper, or the question that appeared in examination, those were out of syllabus. So that are the external causes. On the other hand, when the things go wrong, it's common for the manager to blame workers and for workers to blame the situation or context in which they do their job. So again, when the workers they are giving ill performances, and then the manager they try to blame their workers that they failed to achieve the target. So instead, the managers take responsibility of all the situation. They in fact put all the blame over the shoulders of the workers. So that is again the external causes. So when the workers or the employees, when they perceive the negative feedback from the managers, they will be definitely demotivated, they will be discouraged, and they will become defensive, emotional, and they will not hear what their managers say. And when we use the term defensive, they try to defend themselves that the ill performance is not because of themselves, but that is because of different situations or different factors. So they try to defend themselves. Now here you can have a look into the communication process. We have the sender, then we have the encoding, message, decoding, and receiver. Now, and then we have the communication process, and then there is a feedback. Now, in this communication process, if any one of components is missing, say feedback is missing, communication process has not taken place. So in order to have a complete communication process, all these components must be there. So how do we define a communication process? Communication process begins when the sender thinks of a message and he or she wants to convey to the others. For example, manager would like to convey a message to his workers. So that is communication process begins. Encoding, putting a message into a written, verbal, or symbolic form that can be recognized and understood by the receiver or the workers. Decoding, it is a process by which the receiver translates the written, verbal, or symbolic form of a message into an understood message. Decoding means when the message is being given to any other individual, now what he or she understands, what meanings he or she derives, that is called decoding. And then we have a feedback to the sender. Now in this communication process, it is return message to the sender which indicates that the receiver's understanding of the message. So when the students give a feedback to their instructor, to their professor, that yes, we do understand their concepts, so the teacher understand now my lecture is being understood by my professor, by my students, and so on. Noise is very important component of any communication process, and that could totally ruin the communication process because of the noise. That could be the noise outside, that could be the music, maybe the children playing at the playground, whatever. So the noise definitely disturb the whole communication process. So noise could be anything that interferes with the transmission of the intended message. Now here we have the formal communication channel. Now you can see that we have three levels of communication. There is a downward communication, there is an upward communication, and then there is a horizontal communication. So how do we define formal communication channel? It is a system of official channel that carry organization, approval, messages, and information. So downward communication, the first illustration, the message travels from top to bottom. Usually the manager give orders to the middle level managers, and the middle level managers they give orders to their workers or subordinates. So that information is usually in the form of memos or in the form of orders. So that is downward. It flows from higher to lower levels in organization. Upward communication here, where the information travels from bottom to the middle and then finally to the top. Now here, the issues, the problems, they are being shared to the lower level managers, and then they are being submitted to the upper level management. So that is called the upward communication. It flows from lower to high levels in our organizations. Horizontal communication, the information that travels within the same departments, or horizontal communication, it flows within the same level. For example, with one department in another department, one colleague transfer information to another one. So that is horizontal. It flows among managers, workers who are at the same organization level. Now, then we have informal communication channel. Now, this is the transformation of messages from employees to employees outside of formal communication channel. So the best example of the informal communication channel is grapevine communication channel, such as gossips or cluster chains. So what are the gossips? These are the rumors. Now, they may be true or they may be just based on fictitious information. So individuals share information with many other managers and workers. Now the cluster chain, the numerous people, they simply tell a few their friends. And both of these gossips and cluster chains, they result in both the information flow informally throughout the organizations and informal information that spread like a fire in the organizations. And then we have coaching and counseling, and then non-verbal communication. So what is a coaching? Now coaching communication with someone for direct purpose of improving the person on the job performance or behavior. And the most simple example of the coaching is the cricket team coach. So coaching is usually given to the group of individuals. So the coach of the cricket team give directions how to do the fielding, how to do the batting, and so on. So that is coaching. Counseling is usually done on one-to-one. For example, a teacher does a counseling of a single student. And a counseling, that is a communication with someone about non-job related issues. Now, when we discuss about the non-job related issues, then they may be affected, and then they may be affected or interfering with a person's performance. Now, then we have non-verbal communication. Any communication that does not involve words, body language, or facial expressions. Managing one-on-one communication. So there are communication medium. So what is a medium? The method used to deliver an oral or written message. So the written communication include letters, emails, and memos. So that could be in any written form. Hearing, it is the act of processing or perceiving sounds. Hearing does not mean that the individual understand what is being said to him. So he just hear to that sound. Listening, on the other hand, is making a conscious effort to hear the individual try to understand what is being said. Empathetic listening, understanding the speaker's perspective and personal factors, reference, and giving feedback to the speakers. That, in other words, empathic listening means carefully listening to the message. Now we have managing one-on-one communication. So destructive feedback. Disapproves without any intention of being helpful and almost always cause a negative or defensive reaction in the recipient. Now this is a common sense. This is a human psychology. When the individual they give a bad feedback, definitely it is going to ruin the whole behavior. It is going to disturb the relationship between the managers and the workers. On the other hand, when the workers they give a good feedback, so-called the constructive feedback, that will be more helpful. It is going to be corrective and encouraging. Then we have the cross-cultural. Then we have the cross-cultural communication. Now that is what transmitting information from a person in one country in one culture to another person, from one country to another. Now, different countries, they have different culture, they different languages, they have different religions, they have different traditions. So when we do communicate, then definitely they have different meanings. Now, for example, in Europe, in UK, when we say, how do you like this automobile? How do you like this bike? We say, yeah, it's just not bad. It's not bad. But in Asia, when we are going to say, how do you like your bike or automobile? We don't say it's not bad. We say it's very good. So although not bad in UK means it is good, but in Asia we use the term it is very good. So they are because of the cross-cultural communications. Now, managing one-on-one communication, effective culture, people display emotions and feelings when they communicate. So definitely when you communicate with others, we express our feelings. Neutral culture, now that are the culture where people do not display any emotional feelings when communicating, but somehow there are some degree of effective culture. People do display their emotions, good emotions or good feelings, bad emotions or bad feelings. Now, what does it mean? Respecting other cultures is also important because we use our own culture as a standard of comparison, and it's very easy to make the common mistakes of getting different meanings. So we need to respect other people's culture. We have to respect other countries' culture, their languages, their religions, and traditions. I hope you enjoy my lecture, so don't go away. The new course of Principles of Marketing will be shortly uploaded, so don't go away. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching my lecture.